Welcome to the chapter Negotiation for Win-Win Deals. This is a webinar offered by OI2Lab in the context of the Invite Horizon 2020 project. So, what is this chapter about? This chapter will help you find out how to negotiate with your partners and customers of your open innovation project in a mutually beneficial way. Please keep this last part of the sentence in your mind. Negotiations are not about forcing people to do what you want them to do. Negotiations instead are about reaching a deal that leaves both parties satisfied. Negotiation is meant to build trustful and lasting relationships with your partners. It is meant to lead to a win-win situation from which both parties exit satisfied. So let's see the chapter objectives now. At the end of this chapter, you will be able to first understand what negotiation is and when the right time to negotiate is. Second, identify sources of negotiating leverage that you can take advantage of to influence the other side into moving towards your position. Third, prepare for a negotiation and come up with a negotiation strategy. And fourth, how to gracefully end a negotiation depending on whether you are satisfied with the outcome or not. So let's start with the basics of win-win negotiations. As I said, a negotiation refers to the process of discussing something with someone in order to reach an agreement with them. Both parties should be satisfied in one way or another with this agreement. Here are some basic points concerning win-win negotiations. The first thing to keep in mind is that negotiation comes after selling. Selling is the process of making someone want something that you can offer him. Negotiation, on the contrary, is the process whereby you discuss and agree upon the terms of how this transaction will actually take place. So it's imperative to first make your partners and customers to want something that you can give them, something that satisfies their wants or needs, and then they will be attracted into the negotiation process. There is no use in entering a negotiation if the other party does not want something from you, because if this is the case, they will not negotiate with you in the first place. Secondly, the objective of negotiation is to reach a mutual agreement that enjoys the support and acceptance of all negotiating parties. As I said previously, negotiation is not about forcing your beliefs and behaviors upon others, because this will most probably damage your trust and relationship with the other party. Negotiation is about reaching agreements that leave both parties satisfied, at least in part. So in the ideal negotiation scenario, both parties should exit the negotiation with a feeling of satisfaction and fairness. This feeling will ensure commitment, respect, and above all, happy and returning customers and partners. So, in which situations should you consider negotiating? The right time to negotiate is when one party says no to your offering. In this case, you might seek to find new and alternative ways to reach an agreement that will be accepted by the other party. You might also want to negotiate because you want a better deal from the one that is already in place. Maybe things have changed after your previous deal, or maybe you realize that you're not content with it. Another good time to negotiate is when external factors disrupt the operation of your business or your business relationships. For example, when there is a change in the legal framework underlying your relationship, or you need to find ways to overcome bureaucracy. Finally, it is important to negotiate when there is a complaint from one of your partners or customers. And this is regardless of whether they're right or not. It is important to keep your customers loyal and satisfied by building their feeling of satisfaction and fairness. As you can see in this slide, there are limitless sources of negotiating leverage that you can use to influence the other side to move closer to your negotiating position. These include, first of all, beliefs. Your beliefs and the other party's beliefs dictate the outcome of the negotiation. For example, if you actually believe that you're selling your product at a high price, you are more likely to give a discount if the customer asks for one. So be conscious of your beliefs and think about what the other party possibly believes as well. The second source of negotiating leverage is need. Your offering will be far more attractive if it is tailored to the needs of the other party. But beware, savvy buyers will try to hide their need for your service. Find out what the other party really needs and make your solution unique. The third source of negotiating leverage is emotion. Your feelings interfere with your performance, especially when you are in a hurry to close a deal or you have already invested a lot of time and effort in it. If you are under pressure, you are more likely to compromise. So the solution to this is to come prepared with a plan for when you are under pressure. You could also consider postponing a negotiation when you are feeling emotional. The fourth source of negotiating leverage is time. Time is always either an asset or a liability in negotiations. The person that needs to close the deal sooner is in the weakest position. And on the other hand, a person that is not in a hurry and takes time to negotiate is in a much stronger position. The solution is to make the other party feel an urgency to close the deal. Just make them understand the cost of delay. The fifth source of negotiating leverage is understanding. Try to understand your partners or customers. Engage in active listening and try to collect as much information as possible about his or her needs and beliefs. You can ask, for example, whether they have a deadline to catch or if they need something that is not currently available in the market. The sixth source of negotiating leverage is ownership. So consider this. Is it your project or theirs? Is it your idea or theirs? If it is your idea or project, you are in a weaker position because you have invested your time and effort, while the other party has invested little or even nothing. You want to see your project become a reality, right? If this is the case, have a plan for limiting your emotional attachment during times of negotiation. The seventh source of negotiating leverage is personality. Consider the personality of the other party. Do they like direct and brief words, or do they seem to enjoy small talk? Are they quick to take decisions, or do they take their time? Do they like to talk about details, or do they focus on the big picture? Understand your partner's or customer's personality, and this will help you tailor your approach. The eighth source of negotiating leverage is skill. Is the other party skilled in negotiation? Are you skilled in negotiation? Consider how your attitude, behavior, and technique shape you and the other party's capability for negotiation. The more skilled the other party is, the better prepared you need to be. So let's move on to the next section and discuss how a negotiation strategy can actually be developed. A negotiation strategy includes two important components: a negotiation plan and the negotiation tactics that you can use to get a better deal. We'll talk about this in the following slides. In any case, however, it is very important that you take the time to think and prepare your negotiation strategy from before the negotiation. If you leave it for during the negotiation, it will be already too late to control your emotions, think clearly, and take the time needed. If you don't have a negotiation strategy but find yourself in a negotiation situation, it might be best to postpone the negotiation so that you take the time to come back prepared. So let's start with the negotiation plan. A simple negotiation plan is structured like this. In the left column, I have listed all the things that I might concede in order to reach a deal, ranked from the most important to the least important to me. In the right column, I have listed all the things that the other party might concede to reach a deal, ranked from the most desirable to the least desirable to me. Examples of such concessions include discounts, additional services, better service renewal agreements, provision of wraparound services, and many others. In this slide, we see one such example of a negotiation plan. On the left column, at the bottom, you can see that I have decided that I could give away free access to my service for 1 month, which is something easy for me. But as we move upwards, I list increasing discounts that I could give away in incremental steps. These are more important and difficult for me to give away as we move upwards. In the right column, I have similarly listed the possible concessions of the other party in a similar descending order. So now I know what small things I can give away to the other party in steps and ask in exchange the other party to give me more important things during the negotiation. Of course, keep in mind that you cannot bring a printed negotiation plan to the negotiation. You have to memorize it. It's important to take special care about two things in your negotiation plan. The first one is to give your concessions slowly and in small pieces. This way, you will be able to give less and gain more in each step of the negotiating process. The second one to remember is to think of your walk-away point in advance. What is your cutoff line? At which concession are you no longer willing to negotiate it? Think about it ahead of the negotiation and stick to your decision. Remember, you make this decision after calm and careful thought. It's not a good time to reconsider this during the negotiation because you're more likely to lower your guard. So let's see the tactics plan now. A typical tactics plan includes 3 lines of defense. In the first line of defense, you give your opponent nothing except from assurance. For example, you say, John, I know you want the best deal out of this. No one gets a better deal than the one I have offered you. This is the best rate for our most important customers. Believe it or not, many parties will concede at this point and close the deal. In the second line of defense, you give your opponent nothing but sweat. Yes, sweat. John, you are putting me in a difficult position. It is against our policies, and I will not be able to get this approved. It would be a pity for our project to fail after all this effort we have both invested, wouldn't it? Most parties have conceded at this point and closed the deal. In your third line of defense, here you need to use your negotiation plan. If you have reached this stage, you're probably facing a skilled negotiator. Using the negotiation plan, you give away something small and ask for something equal or larger in return. But while doing this, you also need to pass the message that you are doing a huge favor to them. You can say, for example, "All right, John, I will make this one exception for you. I will give you a 10% discount on the condition that you pay 50% of the commission in advance. This is a unique one-time favor for you, and it should stay between us. Does it sound like a good option?" You may need to repeat this step by giving up something more each time, depending on the negotiation plan that you previously developed. Use the concession options you developed for your negotiation plan, and remember, for everything you give away, you should gain something of equal or larger importance. So how does a negotiation end? Let's see this in the last section of our course. Hopefully, using your experience and skills, you will reach a successful win-win deal. If this is the case, exit the negotiation by summarizing and confirming the details of the deal. Close by agreeing upon the next steps to be made, and be specific. If, however, you have reached your walkaway point and not made a deal, that's okay. Clearly express your position and reasons, and then leave courteously. It is something that you had thought about and decided calmly in advance. You can see this as an opportunity to explore new options and come back later with a new negotiation. Finally, there also exist some occasions where you may opt for a temporary suspension of the negotiation process. This is suggested, for example, if during the negotiation process you realize that there exists important information that you were not previously aware of, or you need to revisit your negotiation strategy. It is also advised to suspend the negotiation if the situation is becoming emotional and argumentative. If this is the case, it is much better to come back later and discuss calmly. And with that, we finished this course, and it is time for a recap. In this course, you learned that a negotiation refers to the process of discussing towards an agreement, that there exist different sources of negotiating leverage, such as need, time, emotion, and ownership, that a negotiation strategy and plan are essential for successful negotiation, and finally, that there exist different ways to gracefully end a negotiation. So here we reached the end of the presentation, and thank you for watching. You are welcome to visit the OI2Lab social media and web portal to explore more about Invite, the Horizon 2020 project, and become acquainted with the OI2Lab platform. Now we are going to proceed with the questions and answers session. To post a question, please click the Q&A button on the top of your screen and type your questions. I will receive them and provide answers. So we have a first question by Anita. Anita asks, how to initiate a negotiation? Do I start by offering something or by asking for something? Well, that's a good question. Well, conventional wisdom tells us that the person that makes the first offer is in a vulnerable position because they reveal information. And they say that information is power, right? Even the smallest piece of information that you reveal can be used by your opponent to manipulate you. However, it is also helpful to keep in mind that a lot of recent research has revealed that the first offer also dictates the range within which the offers and counteroffers of the remaining part of the negotiation will fall. For example, if you are a buyer and make the first offer to pay a low price, the deal will be closed at a lower price compared to the price that would have been closed if the seller had made the first offer. And that would have been at a much higher price, of course. So this is especially true in cases where what's being negotiated has an uncertain or ambiguous value. So to sum up, when you have a lot of market information, then it makes sense to make the first offer, starting from the smallest possible concessions to you, as we described in the negotiation plan. But if you have little information about the price, then it is wiser to allow the other party to make the first offer themselves. I hope I answered your question, Anita. Let me see if we have any more questions. Yeah. We have a question from Nicholas. Nicholas asks, how to present in the most effective way the value of what I am offering? Nicholas, we talked about this extensively in the webinar. It is important to be clear, to be concise and balanced in what you convey, and to think of how the reasons, impacts, and capabilities you communicate are aligned with your own offering. For example, describe the actual reasons why your proposed deal is best for everyone involved, and clearly state the impacts that an agreement is going to have on your partner's business. And also determine what the capabilities are that each side of the deal has, wants, or needs, and how these capabilities will be improved. I hope this was a satisfactory answer, Nicholas. So I can see that we have one more question from Christoph. So Christoph asks, how can I make sure that I am not emotionally affected by the other party? Yeah, we talked about a lot about emotions. Well, the answer to that is easy. Come prepared. Collect as much information as possible and think about the best scenario of a negotiated agreement in advance. But also think about and decide about your walkaway point. And do this before the negotiation. This is very important. Develop your negotiation plan early and memorize it. Preparation will help you come to the negotiation with much more confidence and increase the chances for success. And keep in mind that, as we said, if you find that you're getting emotional and doubtful about your plans, it is always better to postpone negotiation for a later time. Let's see if we have any more questions. Oh, Martina just posed the question. She asks, what should I do if amidst the negotiation I realized that there is important information that I was not aware of? Oh, Martina, I think I have provided an answer to your question. The answer is similar to the previous one. I suggest that you remove yourself from the situation. Postpone the negotiation so that you take the time to think well and come back prepared. Let's see if we have any more questions. No, we don't have questions. So, all right. I believe that all questions have been answered. So, thank you very much. Here we reached the end of the webinar. Remember that you are invited to explore and interact with OI2Lab, and this webinar will be available on demand on the OI2Lab platform during the forthcoming days. So spread the word. Thank you and goodbye.